create a story memory card using LibreOffice. LibreOffice is a suite of programs you can download for free and use to create many things. We will be using LibreOffice Writer to create a 6x4-inch story memory card. It's easier to create a memory card using the Storybook Layers app that comes with Heritage Collector than using LibreOffice. However, there are some advantages offered by using LibreOffice Writer, such as being able to move the contents of a memory card into another document or book you may be developing later. LibreOffice is frequently updated, which may result in some changes and additions to the program interface. The basic functions used in this tutorial will probably not be affected by any future updates. The first step is to download, install, and run LibreOffice Writer. This tutorial is intended to help you use LibreOffice or another basic word processing system to create your memory cards. LibreOffice Writer is going to come up into the default format size of 8.5 by 11. You will need to change this page format to the index card size of 6 by 4 inches, which will be the same size as a standard index card. Open the Format menu and select Page Style. This makes it possible to change all the index card settings. Notice up here it says Page Style, Default Page Style. If you see something different on the display than these settings, click the page icon here. The first step is to change the width to 6. You can do that by clicking on these little arrows, or you can left click and mouse over and simply enter 6. And then you need to change this 8.5 to 4. And you can now see the shape of your page looks like a card versus an 8.5 by 11 portrait size view. Next, we need to change the card margins. We want the smallest margins possible, which is about 12 point. So come down here and type, you can mouse over or type 0.12 for each one of the left, right, top, and bottom margins. We will not be using the gutter setting. Click OK to save the new settings. We're ready to start working on the card, but the view is kind of small, isn't it? So left click on the display and then hold down the Control key and move your mouse wheel up. And you can see that the view gets a lot bigger, making it easier to work with and to see what you're doing. Now we're ready to start formatting our card by adding a border using copy, paste, or drag. It's easiest to drag or paste in a border first, so it will already be in the bottom layer. It will then be easier to drag in other objects over the border. I'm saving time and being more efficient by dragging in a border from a collection or folder that I have previously added everything into that I will need and be using on the card. I may need to resize the border I just drug in to fit the index card shape. Fortunately, it resized it perfectly when I drug it in. However, occasionally I may need to resize the border. Note, it's best to drag in an object in the correct landscape or portrait shape, because sometimes you may not be able to rotate it or resize it. To resize an object or border, left-click on the card and the 8 resize handles will appear. Handles do different things. Click on one of the corner handles. A small 2-headed arrow will appear to make it possible to resize the whole object, bigger or smaller. This is referred to as a proportional resize. So as I drag this arrow down toward the center, you can see the whole object is getting smaller, but it's not being distorted. So I could drag from any one of the corners. I could come up here and drag it this way. Sometimes you hit the end of the footer and it makes it hard to get a hold of the object. Dragging the handles on the sides allows you to make the object narrower or wider, and depending on which side of the object you drag from. Normally, you would just place your cursor on the display and begin to type. This does not work if you have an image object selected like the border previously added to this display. You need to go up to the Insert menu and select Text Box. And you see my little text cursor now. Left click and drag to make your text box, and then type in a name. I'm going to type in my dad's name for a title. Edward H. Schultz. Now don't worry about the spacing and the centering at this point, just type it in there. Now the next thing that you can do is highlight it with a left click. Say I would like it bold, I would like it centered, and I would like it to be 18 point. And now you can see it's a whole lot bigger. I'd like to add the word Life Sketch. So I will place the cursor there and press the Enter key and click Life Sketch. Now this is a little bit too bold for me, so now I can change this. I can also move this box around and make it a little higher if I would like. And I'm going to mouse over this and take the bold off, and I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to make it 14. So now I have Edward H. Schultz Life Sketch. Now I'm going to keep this really simple. I'm now going to drag in the images for my memory card. The images are going to be coming from my Heritage Collector collection for this memory card. So first I will left click on the image in Heritage Collector, and I'm going to drag it over and drop it on the card. Now it's a little tricky because you can't drop it onto the border area. You have to drop it on the white space on the left. And then I'll drag it down here to resize it. Now I'm going to left click and drag the next one in. Same thing, I have to get it into this little white space right over here. Can't have the red circle. Let it up, and there's the image. Left click, and I'm going to resize it by clicking on the handle and pulling it down. Now this is just a test, a preparation. And then I'm going to drag this image in, and again, any one of these little white areas, it will work. So I could even do it up there. And then I'm going to left click and resize it proportionally. So I have an idea that that's near, so I'll drag this one over, and this time I'll use the bottom left handle because it makes it easier for me to line it up. A little bit less. And the same on this one. Left click and drag it. Okay, this one I think looks a little distorted, so I'm going to drag this down. That looks better, and then I'm going to resize it. Okay, now I need to try to get these across the card, and it looks like I could go a little bit more. So left click and drag it down to resize it. Move this one over, left click and drag it down, and do the same with this one. Left click and drag it down. Now that was pretty good. I guess I was lucky. So now I can see that this is off up here just a little bit, so I will move that up. Now you can use your arrow key and the Alt key down. I can drag this up a little bit, so it's almost perfectly aligned. Now it's always a good practice to save as you go along in case you make a mistake and you need to start over. You won't have to start over clear from the beginning. So come up to you can save it here, but this is a little trickier. You can use it later. So click on File, then come down and click on Save As. I've previously created a folder on my C drive called Memory Card, and that's where I want to save this. So I will double click that to open it. So you can see that I have changed the name to Dad 6x4 Life Sketch, and it's ODT, and I've saved it. Click Save, and it's now been saved. Now it's important that you do this every so often so that if you make a mistake, you don't save it, you reload it, and that will put it back to where it was before you made the mistake. So do yourself a favor and hit this file button here after you've saved it the first time so that you can save your work as you go along. I have just created the front side of what is now the first side of a two-sided card. I could stop here and create another card for the back, but I can save some time by creating another page for this card. To do that, move your cursor to this white area right here until you see the I-beam cursor up here. Yes, it's a bit tedious, but worth the effort to save time and create what will become the back side of the card. To do this, hold your Control key down and click the Enter key one time. This just created the second page, and if you scroll down, you will see the back side of the card that we have just created. I would like to use the information from my dad's obituary that I have previously edited, so I'm going to copy the text and then paste it onto the back side of the card. I added a QR code so it could be scanned if the card has been printed. Who was Edward H. Schult? By Marlowe E. Schult, his son. Edward H. Schult was born at Cushing, Iowa, May 24, 1903, the son of Carl and Bertha Pieper Schult. The family moved from Iowa. Finally, I will click the Save button to save all the changes that I have recently made. Refer to the printing video and instructions when you want to print the card.